welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are doing kind of a, I want to say it's different, but I've done it in the past, where I actually talk to you as I am doing the tutorial. So I apologize if there's any interruptions. My littles are down for a nap. You can probably hear their little nursery rhymes going off in the background. I hope it's not too distracting. But I really wanted to get on here and share a really cool project that I found. This is from Julie DiMatteo. She is the Paper Pixie here on YouTube. She does, she's an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US, and she does a lot of lives. In fact, that's all she does now. And I don't know about you, but I just don't have the time to watch a live. But I really, really like her projects. They are very well thought out. They are very unique. They're really wonderful. I just don't have the time to watch a live. So I am going to do her project, and I will put the link to her video of this project down below so you can check that out if you are into lives. She has like where she goes through all the products she's using, and then she has like some chit chat and questions at the end if you want to see the full live. But for me, I just want to do the project for you. So if you are like me and don't have time for lives, this is for you. So anyways, she used these Altoids smalls. I actually had to find these on Amazon. I looked at my local grocery stores and none of them had them. They may have had like the large cans of Altoids, but they didn't have the small ones. So I purchased these off of Amazon, and that is what is going to go in our little box for today. So to start, I went ahead and trimmed this paper down. This is from a Paper Studio paper pad. So this is from Hobby Lobby. I trimmed this down to 6.5 by 3 3/4. Now, technically, this paper has a direction. I did not pay attention to that. I try to pick papers that don't have a direction just so that I don't have to think about it. But if you do have a paper that has a very distinct direction, you want to make sure that when you cut your paper, you cut it in portrait mode, which means this direction, so that your pattern is top to bottom this way. But if you don't, it doesn't matter. So anywho, this paper measures 6.5 by 3 3/4. Okay. And on the long side, you are going to score this at 1 3/4 and 2 3/8. Then you're going to rotate your paper 90 degrees, and you're going to repeat that. So 1 3/4 and 2 3/8. Okay. I'm going to flip this paper over so you can see what we've done. So this is what we have so far. So on our 6.5 by 3 3/4 inch paper, on our long side, so our 6.5 inch side, we scored at 1 3/4 and 2 3/8, rotated our paper, and did the same thing. 1 3/4, 2 3/8. That's what we have so far. Now, on our short side, so our 3 3/4 inch side, we are going to draw a score line. We're going to do 2 of them. However, we're only going to go down to our first score line. So I'm going to, again, flip this over. So we're going to do a score line at 5/8 of an inch, stopping at this first horizontal score line we have here. Can you see that? Is that clear? Okay. At 5/8 and at 3 1/8, just to that first score line there. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. So we have our paper on the 3 3/4 inch side. We're going to score at 5/8 of an inch, which is one little tick mark past, and I'm even struggling to see this, right down to our first score mark, which is right here. Okay. And then again at 3 1/8, one more time down to that first score line, which is right here. And 3 1/8 is one tick mark past 3. Okay. So this is what we have. We scored at 5/8 and 3 1/8, just down to our first score mark. Okay. We're going to repeat that on the other side. So on our 3 3/4 inch side, we're going to score at 5/8 down to our first score mark. If I can see it, there it is, I think. And 3 1/8, just down to our first score mark. Okay. I think I went too far. Yep. I went just a little too far. If you do that, it's not the end of the world. Paper's pretty forgiving. So I just kind of use that same tip to erase it. So we've done that on both sides. So this is what it looks like when all of our scoring is pretty much done, okay? If you don't care, you can actually make these score marks go all the way through, these score lines go all the way through. But I agree with her, and she mentioned this in her live. It looks a little more professional if you don't. And you'll see why in just a minute. So that is all that we need our scoring board for. But we do have one more score line that we do need to do. If you have an old like mouse pad or something like that. Sorry, I just bumped our camera here. Sorry about that. If you have an old mouse pad, you can use that for this, but you need like a metal ruler and your stylus, and I'm just going to use a paper pad here. You just need something that has a little bit of give. And again, I'm going to flip this over just so that I can see a little bit better. But what we're going to do is we are going to make a couple of score marks. One second. We're going to make a couple of score marks. And what our score marks are essentially going to look like is from this corner right here to where we have our intersection here to this loose edge. Okay. And then we're going to rotate our paper from this corner where our score marks meet to this loose edge to this score line, to our second score line. So we stopped our vertical score line here at our first horizontal score line. So this score mark is going to go from our first horizontal score line to the outside corner of our second horizontal score line. So let me show you what that looks like, because sometimes things are easier to do than to explain. So how I like to do this and how I've seen other people do, and it seems to work really well, is put your stylus where you want your score mark to start, and then butt your ruler up against that, and then draw your score mark. So that wasn't very good. Do as I say, not as I do. But what we're trying to accomplish, let me try that again, because that's terrible. That's not going to even really help you. All right, let me try that again. So there's where we're trying to score. From there to there. That's better. Okay. So I hope you can see that. But what we're trying to do is get a score line from here to here. So from our first horizontal, where that met with our vertical, down to our second horizontal on the outside of the paper. And we're going to do that for all of them. So on this one, it's going to go this way, just so that we can get it. Okay, that was a good one. All right, and these ones are going to do the same thing. So this horizontal meeting there, okay, and this one from there to there. Okay, so I hope you can see that. This is what we have now. So we have a diagonal score mark here and here, here, and here. One other thing that I want to mention now that I just thought about it is she used double-sided paper for hers. I am not. Again, I don't really have any double-sided paper that is... I just don't really have any double-sided paper in my stash. If that really bothered you, you can make your own double-sided paper by putting two papers together, like gluing them together. I have done that in the past. It works okay, but it's usually better if you just have a pattern paper that is double-sided. And that is what she used in her project. And you will see that you will notice that you see both sides of this paper in this project. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and burnish, which all that means is you're going to reinforce essentially all of my score marks that went all the way through. So I'm going to go here, and I'm trying to make sure that my edges are lining up as I do this. Let's go back over here, and let's go back over here. Okay, so now I'm going to just use my fingers to reinforce those score marks that we put in that were at a diagonal. And that will also help you reinforce the ones that were not all the way through your paper. So we're reinforcing this vertical score line that stopped at our first horizontal, and we're reinforcing the one that we just made, the diagonal. Okay, so this is what we're doing. This is what we're trying to do. Here we go. There we go. That's better. Okay. So we already have that score line, and we are trying to reinforce this one, and we are reinforcing that one. Okay. All right, let's try that again. I'm going to show you what we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and push in on our diagonal one that we made. And then I'm going to kind of bend just a little bit. And then I'm going to take my fingers and start to do that one. Once you have those, you can take your bone folder and really crease those. And that actually does make this box come together quite a bit better. So I'm just going to get my little bone folder in there and reinforce that a little better. All right, so we're going to do that again on the opposite side. So once again, just using my fingers to gently start to get that paper to go. Once it goes, I'm going to go ahead and use my fingers to reinforce both of those creases. We've already done these horizontal ones. We're just trying to get the diagonal one and the vertical one. Okay, so I'm going to reinforce that diagonal one. Where'd my diagonal one go? There it is. Where'd it go? All right. Okay, so this is what we have. All right. So those are our diagonal ones that we made right there. Okay, so that's what it looks like. So how this goes together is pretty ingenious. She is like super creative with how she gets things to go together. So it literally will self-close like that. Isn't that incredible? Like, she is awesome. I love her. So, and it is holding itself closed with no like glue. We didn't cut anything. I mean, isn't that awesome? And when you want to open it, there you go. Boom, open. So let's make sure that this actually fits, which she did this project, so I know it does, because she is awesome. And then it just like closes. How cool is that, right? So one of the things that she did that I did really like, and I am going to do, is she put some ribbon here. It doesn't need the ribbon to stay closed. And if you see, like, I'm shaking this, I'm not being like bananas crazy, but like if you're transporting this in your purse and you're going to give it to somebody, like, you may want a little more reinforcement. So she did put a ribbon here, and that is something that I am going to do. So one second. So I have some Crinkle seam binding ribbon. I don't remember where I got this. I want to say I got it from Amazon, but I'm not really sure. But there is a company, a small business on Etsy called My Scrap Cabin, and she has gobs of seam binding ribbon that is apparently in like all sorts of beautiful colors. It comes highly recommended from a bunch of people that I have watched that use it all the time. So I will put them down below, but I think I got these off of Amazon, but I can't remember. So anyways, how you put the ribbon on is, and I don't even know, this is Crinkle seam binding ribbon. I chose this just because I have more colors of it, and because of its, I guess, style, for lack of better words that I can think of, how it's made, it's very forgiving. And I am like a gosh awful bow tire, so this gives me some grace. So I'm going to just close that down, and then I'm going to just tie a knot. Like I said, I am not, although a bow with this probably wouldn't be all that difficult, I just am not going to do a bow. I'll just be honest with you. I'm not doing a bow. All right, I'm going to trim off these tails a little bit. And you may be saying to yourself, Brandy, where's your sentiment? You're right. I do not have a sentiment on this. I'm not really for sure when I'm going to give these out, but, and when I do, I'll put some sentiment on there then, some greeting on it then. If I wanted to make these in advance for whenever, I would just keep it very simple and put like a for you on here, maybe stamped on a label. That would keep it very, very simple. And that would mean that you had a greeting on there. Although this looks really, really cute without one. So there it's in there. I'm shaking this around. Isn't that just like darling and like super genius? So anyway, Paper Pixie. I will link the video to this, or I will link it below, so that if you do want to watch the live, or if you have any questions that you want to ask her directly, by all means, but I will list her below. So thank you so much for watching me. I hope you feel inspired. I hope you will check out Julie DiMatteo, the Paper Pixie. She is incredible. And until then, we'll see you next time. Bye.